Here we go again on a retail sale adventure.
Yes, it's happened again. 2021 was an unusual year, just like 2020 was. Although back in 2020, we didn't think we were going to be slapped in the face again with what we got during 2021. I live in Sydney, Australia, and we had a very unusual year basically from the end of June right up till, I don't think it's going to stop. And everything came to a grinding halt. I can't say words starting with V or P or C, or else the YouTube systems will crush me and hide this video and turn it into something totally different. But as I've been babbling here, hopefully you're seeing pictures of what I saw going on. I had to be a little bit sneaky to get these pictures, and it was unusual. And maybe in years to come, we'll look back at this time and we'll say, wow, that was just such a weird time. I'm glad someone went out there and had taken some photographs. We also had a look inside the shopping mall near where I live, and this relates to this very small retail study, which I wasn't going to do, but we are going to do. And that shopping mall was like a cemetery. Okay, it was really, really unusual to see. If you had a shop within the shopping mall, there's not a chance you're going to make a dime for the better part of 2021. The old saying is a picture tells 1,000 words, and you've just had thousands of words crammed into your brain by looking at these pictures. Now, back in 2020, in the 3 months leading up to Christmas, I did a fairly extensive retail study of around about a 50-kilometre radius from where I live in Sydney of the Thomas & Friends stock of how it's presented leading up to Christmas, which is the most important time to be showing your wares. This is when things get sold. This is when you want stock on the shelves. This is where you actually make money. And as I've said in many a retail study video, an empty peg will give you $0. An empty shelf will do exactly the same. It's an absolute worst case scenario to have no stock in store in the time when people are most likely going to buy your product. So the absolutely most important time to have toys on the pegs and the shelves is prior to Christmas, and this small retail study is set between the dates of the 20th to the 26th of November 2021. I go to shops that I would normally go to when I was doing toy reviews. Cough, cough, we don't do those anymore, do we, boys and girls? And also I go to some supermarkets, and I also go to one location in the centre of Sydney. I'm not going to identify the retailers that I'm in because what I saw was the fail was across all retailers. And what I do know is that I didn't see any new stock come into these stores up to this date leading up to Christmas. So what we were seeing was whatever stock came into stores, let's say after last Christmas or during the year up to a certain point, that's what's left on the pegs and the shelves. And I tell you what, there's not very much left. I do see some play sets around, but not many. And when I used to look at these play sets, I used to look at that little window, what parts came in the play set. And what I'm looking for is track parts, which is the value. I often talked about one-trick ponies. Just be really careful of play sets with very few track pieces. Okay, that's my big warning to you. And what happens in this very strange 2021 retail fail leading up to Christmas is you end up with the characters that do not sell being the only ones there for sale. And that, of course, is your Nias. I think Nia is the most unpopular character. You've got Rebecca, you've got Emily, you've got Percy. I'm trying to think who else there is. Oh, Duchess was the 3-pack, which always seemed to be lingering and hanging around. And really, they're all females, aren't they? Oh, no, Percy, actually. Well, we don't know about Percy, but let's load Percy in with the girls. There seems to be a thing where the female characters really struggle to sell in the Thomas & Friends franchise, and I'm wondering when Mattel is going to start to wake up to that. And you've got to wonder what was on the empty pegs and empty shelves before they were empty, and that's the things like the Thomas, Annie and Clarabelle 3-pack. Was it Kenji, the Japanese bullet train thing? That was very hard to find. Okay, you're not finding your Gordons, your Henrys, James, of course, Thomas in many variants as well. Who else is popular? I'm just scratching my head here. Okay, don't forget Diesel, although I think I may have found a few Diesels along the way. But it's pretty obvious to me what sells and what doesn't sell. And I think anyone who's into Thomas and Friends understands this. And I'm sure parents must go to these places and their children are saying, we would like this, this, and this. And they go to the shops and then they see, well, hang on, all I'm finding is Nia, Rebecca, Emily, and Perthy. And this is no surprise to me at all. I've seen it over and over and over many years. And it used to be the ultimate peg sitter was Toby. But Toby hasn't been seen for a while. He's missing in action. Maybe they thought, oh, we'll replace Toby with Nia. So we've got a new style of Toby, in a sense, which is orange. And maybe the toy that I didn't see very many of at all, and I don't know whether they've come to the end of the line or whether they just caught up in shipping. It's the metal engine. This is so confusing. Like Trackmaster one, the one with no engine. Okay, little single pack. Very, very few of those around. And I think there were a couple of special ones getting around in 2021, but I tell you what, they were very hard to find. Well, most times, or most of the year, I couldn't go to the shops. Okay, that's, they just got blown out of the water there. Someone got them, but I tell you what, it wasn't me. So, yes, 2021, a month prior to Christmas, marks a completely new low of what I saw going on in the shops that I go to that sell Thomas and Friends stock, and I do wonder how widespread this problem was. In Australia, in supermarkets, there's often toy areas. It's like one cell of the supermarket, small area, but hey, sometimes it's got some funky stuff there. And in those areas, very hard to find Thomas and Friends toys. They're normally there in the pegs. You could see the vacuum area of where they were. It was unmarked, but there's normally the metal engine Thomases there. And before that, you had Thomas Adventures, and before that, Thomas Take 'em Plays, and blah, going back into history, the good old stuff. And notably, notice what else is not there, and it's Hot Wheels cars. They were also, from what I could see in the retail places I go to, completely blown out of the water. And I did sneak a peek at the Hot Wheels aisle in the one of my local favourite retailers, without naming names. And over that week between the 20th to the 26th of November, a month away from Christmas, I just saw this aisle get completely evaporated of stock. It was astonishing to see, and no new stock came into this area, although the tags there may be a key, if you understand how to read those tags, of when new stock will arrive. Whether or not it does or doesn't, who knows? But all I know is at the time of year when they needed stock there, that one of the most popular small toys on the planet, nowhere to be seen. Shame on you, Mattel, shame. Although, as I've learned in the past, the toy companies will blame the retailers blame the toy companies. It just goes to and fro, and maybe it's just a supply chain. When the supply chain breaks and falls apart, boy oh boy does it cause some serious retail fail. In my hunt for retail fail, I actually found some nice items as well. There was a Sodor Steamies 10-pack. It was push along, metal engine, blah blah, but it had a Sodor feel on the back. Thank goodness for that. There was also a Trackmaster really useful engine pack. This is actually nice. Thank goodness there's no Nia, and there's a nice Chuff and Thomas there. Another curious find was something called the Thomas and Friends Tattletales. It's the same scale little toys in here as the Busy Books, and it presents very similar to a Busy Book as well. It's got Thomas, Percy, Nia, and Rebecca, but most importantly, look at the way they've rendered Nia and Rebecca. And once you see these trains done to the right scale in relation to, let's say, Thomas and Percy, all of a sudden they start looking awesome. And maybe if the toy company who makes these toy trains started to render these in the way they should look, you know what, that unpopular Nia and Rebecca may start selling like hotcakes. But hey, you and I know the chances of going back to something awesome are potentially zero these days. Just before I get to the end of this retail study video, remembering I'm looking at these stores, we're still a month away from Christmas. There should be plenty of stock on the shelves. Now, in these wide shots, you see the other brands and stock that is in these toy stores. Now, what do you notice? Well, the vacuum area is the Thomas area, and I've seen this over and over. But why is it just the Thomas area? It's telling me, look, Thomas must be popular. Okay, let's say if it was cram-packed and there were toys falling off the pegs and shelves and it's not selling, I'd actually be quite worried. But for the fact the toys aren't there is actually a good sign. I can paint a picture like that, but it's also the wrong time to have no stock there as well. That's the fail here. While I was in the city looking at the Thomas stock tragedy, I also saw in a pawn shop Hornby number 31 wind-up passenger train set. It's O-gauge track, and it's one of these things. I saw the price at $95 now. US dollars, that would be, let's say, 67 as I'm making this video. And I didn't understand whether this was going to be the bargain of the century or it was completely overpriced. Trying to understand these antique toys, it's a dangerous minefield. Maybe you can go onto eBay and see what's available. Once again, you've got to be really careful and understand exactly what era of train you're looking at, whether it's pre-war or post-war. That's World War II. And if you went to an antique shop, straight away they could offer up the same thing for, $1,000. That's sort of the way, unfortunately, it plays. Curious thing to see in the pawn shop. Maybe someone who sees this video will understand its real value. And in the end, the value is bound by its rarity, the condition of the actual toy, and also, more importantly, possibly the condition of the box, and whether all the components are there, and also if it's in working order. I visited a charity shop a few suburbs away from where I live, and I came across a few little things that were curious, and one very nice thing, there was a bell there. That's Thomas Wooden Railway. Looks like whoever owned this bell had tried to turn it into Thomas Wood variation. I like it when toys show they've been played with or love. I mean, that's where it's at with me. And I've said that many times over the years. There was also a Bob the Builder toy. I think it's Trevor. Is it? Trevor the Tractor? Would that be right? And there was also a Chuggington diecast there, and it's Wilson. And that's a curious find. Not often do I find the Chuggers in the charity stores. But the real gem that I found in the charity shop this day was the Thomas & Friends bag that everyone could see when they walked into the store. I knew exactly what this was because I looked at this bag in one of the merchandise videos that I did. It was the 4th video. Let's take a look at how I spoke about this bag, and it will reveal how much I paid for it at Toys R Us. It came from the sky, yes. This is the Exploring Sodor travel case. It's a playmat, plus it's also something a bit extra. I found this at Toys R Us. Put it this way, it wasn't cheap, but I like the look of it. It was actually, if I spin it like that, $39.95. That's nearly $40. This item is a wonderful item. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm saying it. I can see Thomas Wooden Railway toys there. It's the sort of thing that you could pack up your favourite Thomas toys and go travelling with. Go to your favourite relative's house for holidays. And I'm having a little bit of trouble getting this out as normal because I'm not good at this. Okay, phew. I have got it out. Oh wow, it's looking very Thomasy. I like the look of this already, and I'll just open it up so we can see what's going on here. Maybe it's best to look at this as a bag first. It has got a fair bit of space in there, and I've got to pack it out to make it look nice. It is a 2014 item. That's a curious time. Let me pack this bag out. Maybe the perfect thing to pack it out with is an old Thomas & Friends bean bag. Yeah, and also, oh yeah, remember these? Some good old Thomas & Friends pyjamas. That's going to make the bag look nice and full. I'm thinking it needs to be packed out a bit more. Wow, it can hold a fair bit of stuff this. And I've got my Thomas & Friends hooded towel here. Oh yeah. You remember going around the beach and that? The tag on that's very faded, but the actual towel looks fantastic. I can put that in there as well. This thing actually holds a fair bit of stuff. Okay, yes, that's more like it. Because it has to be just in the right spot for that Velcro tag to make it look Thomas-rific. Also a couple of zippers to seal the deal. Okay, as a Thomas looking bag, which packs a fair bit of stuff in there, it's actually really nice. There's the front of it there. Looking nice and detailed. We've got a lamp there. We've got a white running board. All the Thomasy things we like to see. The face is nice as well. There's that side there. This is the way we like to see our Thomas & Friends merchandise, isn't it, hey? 2014. Is that the year I said? Okay, we've seen that now. I'll just get it open again. Very hard to do this single-handedly. I'll get all the boogie out and we'll take a look at the playmat next. There's 4 areas of zippers to open up. And look at that, they've even got more Thomas detail there on the bit that you normally don't see when it's a bag. Okay, this is the playmat. Of course, it's been all set up as a bag for a long time. It needs to be flattened out a bit. I'll tell you what, it looks pretty good. It's a nice looking, very interesting playmat. It did show Thomas Wooden Railway on the front of the carton, but the gauge is actually a little bit strange. It's a bit smaller than what Thomas Wooden Railway and Thomas Wood is. It'd actually be better suited, and this is a little bit strange too, Thomas Minis. Look at that, it's almost the perfect gauge for those wheels there. But let's keep playing with our Thomas Wooden Railway here, and we've got Cranky at the docks. This is what I like about this, is look at all the destinations you've got. You've got the Farquhar Quarry up there, Mavis is up the back there. We've got a line going off the playmat there. Okay, we've got the farm. We've got the airport over there. We've got Jeremy with another character you rarely ever see. We've got the sheds here. Okay, and of course you can be on the turntable and turn around because children have imaginations unlike adults. We've got a bit of a work truck and water tower here, and we're sort of back to Knapford Station. So all in all, I'll tell you what, it's a very, very busy playmat. There's a lot of interesting things you could be playing with there, and it's Sodor Island based, and that's what we want to see. I like this. It comes back to functional merchandise. It's got multi-purpose, and I'm not really annoyed at the price that I pay. Well, look at this underneath. It's actually got Thomas's wheels. I never looked under the bag. Now I'm seeing under the bag. It's got the axles and all. It's a very interesting piece. Very interesting. And of course, these are little hideaway areas that you didn't see when it's folded up. Wow, someone's really put a bit of thought into this, and I like merchandise where someone's put 2 and 2 together to make something awesome. What I like with this here is it reminds me of a subject at school called tech drawing, when you drew all the planes of an object. In a sense, a 3D object was depicted on all of its planes, and that's what's going on there. What I will do is I'll just get this back to being a bag. It is actually very simple, but I've got to do it with 2 hands. There's 4 zippers to do up, and it becomes a bag again. Before I leave this miraculous item, I did go onto eBay to see if there are any available. I found one, and my crikeys, it makes my one look cheap. In fact, if I bought the one online, I'd be up for over 100 Australian dollars once you go through exchange rates. Also, which was quite interesting, it had a different layout inside. In fact, it was far less dynamic versus the one that I showed you in this video. So as always, when you're buying anything online or in store, buyer beware. And another curious thing about my eBay search, when I went searching for this, I could only find one of these, but what was coming up in the search, and there are actually a few of them, and you might argue it's a much nicer item, it's the 2006 Thomas Wooden Railway carry case. Oh yeah, the memories of doing these merchandise videos. There were 4 of them, they were all very long, and guess what? They all completely failed on YouTube. And I can see the data of who actually watches these videos, and the section where I looked at this bag, there's a 15th of the audience actually looking at what I'm showing here. So I'm pretty sure that most people, if they've watched this video to this point, would never ever have seen this section of the video where I talked about this bag. And maybe that's a nice big clue for why I sort of don't bother trying to make elaborate videos anymore on YouTube and spending a lot of time to do stuff, because it's just not worth it. But I tell you what is worth it, when I picked up this bag at that charity shop for $4. Yes, $4. Can you believe it? And it was in very good condition. I don't think it's ever been played with. And I think it's a fantastic piece of merchandise because it's a practical thing that you can use, plus it's something you can play with. And that's the magic with merchandise. And curiously, in that 4th merchandise video, it's also the one where I spoke about, let's call it the Thomas & Friends brand triangle. It's like the business triangle idea. And it really revolves around having good media, that's good videos and stories and books and things, also great toys, and also connected with that great merchandise. And if all things are working well, you've got a really, really good franchise and things are pumping. And one that comes straight to mind is Harry Potter. I always think Harry Potter's done it correct, and they keep doing it in a really nice way and keep invigorating that franchise. Unfortunately, Thomas & Friends have got a lot of work to do to get this franchise triangle looking like a triangle and not a pear. maybe we'll leave the video at that. The one haunting thing for 2021 for me was going into the city and seeing the dead Sydney. And I was almost going to make a video up of the literally thousands of photographs that I took. One thing which sticks in my mind, and the government here said we put the homeless people in hotels during what was going on. I can't say the C word or L word or all those words, or else this video just gets flagged. Now, unfortunately, all I saw out in the streets was heaps and heaps of homeless people, but maybe that's because everyone else is stripped away, and all of a sudden, the only people you see around are the homeless people. That's one thing that really, really stuck in my mind. And, we were hearing on the radio, the government said, oh, the homeless people are being put in the hotels during the blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe some were, but I tell you what, there are a lot still out in the streets, and it was really sad to see. And I tell you what, I think, in 2020, we thought, 2021 will be better. Well, for us, it wasn't better, it was worse. And I really don't know what 2022 is going to hold. And one part of you can say, well, it's going to be better. But I tell you what, I think the reality is it's going to be worse again.